Page 29 and there.
What is that document?
Is it 29 or 39?
29, Your Lordship.
Oh, okay.
What is that document and the source of that document?
Okay, the document was received from Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources. It is a document from the Office of the Prime Minister, Cabinet Secretariat, headed Cabinet Action Letter with the subject Implementation of Marine Resources Amendment Act 2015, Act number 9 of 2015, Governmental Objectives and Designation of Entity. Then Presenter Fisheries and Marine Resources, decision number 5/17.11.15/018. Then under resolved, there are 3 points on this page. Point number 1, it reads that Cabinet directs that the harvesting of marine resources be utilized towards the following governmental objectives. Letter A, Namibia Fish Consumption Trust objectives, and letter B, government drought relief programs. Number 2, that Cabinet directs that the National Fishing Corporation of Namibia Ltd be the designated entity to harvest on behalf of the states and to monetize for the state's utilization harvested marine resources towards the determined governmental objectives. And number 3, that Cabinet approve that the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology will announce this decision to the public as per Cabinet procedures, with the assistance of the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources and Office of the Attorney General. On the next page is additional resolution. Number 1, that Cabinet direct that a joint session of the Cabinet Committees on Lands and Social Issues and Treasury be convened to consider the harvesting of marine resources towards achieving the following governmental objectives. Letter A, veterans of the liberation struggle, and letter B, poverty eradication through the responsible ministry. Letter C, stability in the fishing sector, bracket bailouts, employment security, vulnerable economic situations, brackets example leaders, policy achievement incentives, and letter D, Namibia Fishing Industry Employee Welfare Stabilization Trust Fund. Implementer Fisheries and Marine Resources.
And is the document signed?
The document is signed by a person from the Secretary to Cabinet.
All right. Your Lordship, there's a request for the cabinet action letter to be submitted as an exhibit.
Z9.
As it plays a court. I just want to find out from you with regard to the additional resolution depicted at page 30 of that document. From your investigations, have you established if the session of the Cabinet Committee had convened to consider these additional governmental objectives?
We conduct the investigation in this matter, on this additional resolution. We approach the office of the Secretary to Cabinet for them to provide us any documentary proof to indicate whether the Cabinet committees have seated and whether the listed governmental objectives were approved. But through the statements obtained, it was indicated that they searched for such information in the archives, in their office, but there's no any document or information that show that the Cabinet have seated and such government objectives were approved.
Is it cabinet or cabinet committees?
Excuse me, my lord.
No, you're saying from the interviews, you have received information that cabinet did not sit.
We get information according to the statements obtained saying when they search in their archives or in their systems, they could not find any information that indicate that the Cabinet Committee have sit and that the additional governmental objectives were approved.
Okay. All right. And what is at page 31 of that bundle?
Page 31 is a letter from the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources. And this document was obtained from the ministry. The letter is dated 2nd July 2014, directed to the Acting Chief Executive Officer, National Fishing Corporation, Fishco, P.O. Box 15, Lideris. And the subject reads, Horse Mackerel Quota 2014 Fishing Season. And the content, I have a pleasure in informing you that the Minister has approved the allocation of horse mackerel quota of 10,000 metric ton to your company. This allocation is made from the quota which was kept in reserve. It is highly important to note that this quota allocation is made as a bailout to your company from the government. Acceptance in writing of the allocation and the conditions pertaining thereto must reach this office before or on Friday, 4th July 2014, not later than 1700 hours. Yours sincerely, Ms. Ueitele Hivelwa, Permanent Secretary.
Okay. With the letters as well from page 32 to page 39, what are those letters?
These letters They are all allocation letters of the quotas for different fishing seasons, 2015, 2016, another 2016.
Okay. Insofar as these letters are concerned, what is the source of all these letters?
The source of these letters, we get them from the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources.
Okay. And who was allocating the quotas in terms of these letters?
In terms of these letters, the quotas were allocated by the minister, who by that time was Honorable Minister Bernard Esau.
Okay. Just briefly take us through at page 32, that letter. Just indicate the date, the metric tons, and the purpose of the allocation.
The letter is dated 11 November 2015.
And the quota? For which species?
And it said the ministers approved the allocation of horse mackerel quota of 9,000 metric ton through fish call to institutions like Namibia Fish Consumption Promotion Trust, NFCPT, as well as to the Office of the Prime Minister for National Drought Relief. For the current fishing season, this allocation is made from the quota which was kept in reserve.
Okay.
Acceptance in writing of the quota.
Okay, no, it's fine. Can we move on to the next letter, page 33? Just the date, what was allocated, the metric tons, and the purpose of the allocation.
Okay, the date of the letter is 29 December 2015. Is the allocation of 10,000 metric ton of horse mackerel to fish call. Of which 5,000 metric ton of the allocated quota is for the benefit of the Namibia Fish Consumption Promotion Trust.
All right, and the next letter at page 34.
Page 34 is the allocation, is the quota allocation letter of horse mackerel for non-commercial. The allocation of 30,000 metric ton to fish co, which had to benefit the listed entities. Number one, Namibia Fish Consumption, 5,000 metric ton. Veterans Affairs Fund, 5,000 metric ton. Drought Relief Canning, 5,500 metric ton. Poverty Alleviation, 2,000 metric ton. Others governmental objectives, 12,500 metric ton.
And the next letter, page 35.
Page 35 is a letter dated 30 May 2016 for the quota allocation of horse mackerel reserved This allocation was made to Fishco for 10,000 metric ton. It was given to Fishco for 10,000 metric ton.
Oh, okay. And the next page, page 36.
The next page is a letter dated 15th June 2016. Reserve horse mackerel quota allocation for 2016 season, which was totaled to 12,000 metric ton given to Fishrot to benefit the three listed entities. Number one, Namibia Fish Consumption Promotion Trust, 5,000 metric ton. Number two, Drought Relief Canning, 5,000 metric ton. Number three, Possessions Fishing and Blomeha Fishing, 2,000 metric ton.
All right. And the next page, 37.
Page 37 is a letter dated 27 October 2016 for the second additional horse mackerel quota allocation to Fishrot in the amount of 12,000 metric ton. And this quota was allocated for governmental objectives of such year, 2016.
Okay. And the next page.
The next page, this document was obtained from the Office of the District Prosecutor in Iceland.
Oh,
It's a letter dated 19 December 2016, directed to the Group Acting Chief Executive Officer of Fishrot for the horse mackerel quota allocation for the 2017 fishing season. And the content of the letter reads as follows. It is my pleasure to inform your company that the horse mackerel TAC for 2017 fishing season is set at 340,000 metric tons. There is an increase of 1.5% compared to the TAC of 2016 fishing season, when it was set at 335,000 metric ton. From the set TAC, an amount of 100,000 metric ton has been allocated to all right holders on pro rata basis, while an amount of 40,000 metric ton has been allocated for governmental objectives, and 200,000 metric ton remain in reserve. Therefore, the Minister has approved an allocation of 40,000 metric ton to your company for governmental objectives for the 2017 fishing season, commencing 1st January 2017 and expiring 31 December 2017. This quota allocation is subject to the standard condition applicable to your existing quota.
okay. Your Lordship, the stay request for the letters from page 31 to 39 to be marked as exhibits.
Exhibit Z10, Z10 Roman 1, Z10 Roman 2, Z10 Roman 3, Z10 Roman 4, Z10 Roman 5, Z10 Roman 6, Is that 10 Roman 7? That's it.
As it please the court. All right. After the minister, from your investigations, after the minister allocates quotas to Fishco, what would happen in relation to those quotas?
After the minister have allocated the quotas to Fishco, several agreements had been entered into between Fishco and companies of the Sameri Group, as well as other fishing companies.
All right. And these agreements that you are referring to, are they in relation to the governmental objective quotas?
That's correct.
Do you have an example of those agreements?
Yes, I have an example.
All right. On what page?
There's an example on page 40.
Okay. What is depicted at that page and the source of that document?
This document was obtained from Mr. Johannes Stephenson, and it is a usage fee agreement entered into by and between Asia Fishing Pty Ltd, registration number 2012/0526, hereinafter referred to as Asia, and National Fishing Corporation of Namibia Ltd, registration number 94/387, hereinafter referred to as Fishco.
Okay. And that particular agreement, was it signed? We even have a look at page 50.
Okay, on page 50, it is indicating that the agreement was signed on the 6th of July 2014, signed by Johan Stephenson on behalf of Asia, and again signed on the 7th of July 2014, signed by Mike Nipunya on behalf of Fishco.
Now, the usage agreements that you referred to, who would normally sign these agreements on behalf of Fishco?
On behalf of Fishco, the agreement are signed by the Chief Executive Officer.
Who's that?
Mr. Mike Nipunya.
Oh, okay. Now, for the example that you've provided to us, what can you tell us about the contribution of the allocated quota on page 44, paragraph 3?
Page 44, paragraph 3 is saying contribution of allocated quota. 3.1, Fishco expressly guarantees that it has been allocated a horse mackerel quota for the quota period ending 31 December 2014.
Okay. And in relation to the usage fee, what was the term of this agreement?
Under usage fee 4.1, Asia will pay to Fishco a usage fee of 3,000 Namibian dollars plus VAT thereon per ton of horse mackerel support in terms of this agreement.
Oh, okay. Your Lordship, there's a request for the agreement to be submitted as an exhibit.
Exhibit Z11.
As it plays the court. All right. We have this first agreement which was concluded on 6 July 2014. At page 51, what is depicted there and the source of that document?
Okay, on page 51, it's a document that came from the Office of the District Prosecutor of Iceland. An email from James Hatuikulipi, dated July 7, 2014, to Johannes Stefansson, subject invoice, attachments, Asia Fishing Invoices 001, ububele.pdf.
Okay. And what is that attachment?
The attachment is an invoice,
on which page?
which is depicted on page 52. The invoice issued by ERF 1980 Kesebmund Pty Ltd, dated 7/7/2014. Invoice number Asia 001. Bill to Asia Fishing Pty Ltd. Valvis by. With the description, tenant's improvement as requested, in the amount 500,000 Namibian dollars.
Oh, okay. Now this F1980 Kwesebun Pty Ltd. From your investigations, have you established you as an interest in that entity?
Okay, the person who is having interest in this entity is Mr. James Hatuikulipi.
Now the invoice that was issued on the 7th of July to Asia Fishing, is that the same Asia Fishing that entered into a usage agreement with Fishco on 6th July?
Yes, correct. It's the same as Asia Fishing.
All right. Now, when this invoice was issued on the 7th of July, where was Mr. Hatuikulipi employed then?
When the invoice was issued, Mr. Hatuikulipi was employed at Investec Asset Management, and by that time he was also a chairperson of the board of directors of Fishco.
Oh, okay. What is depicted at the next page, page 53?
Page 53 is a document received from the Office of the District Prosecutor, Iceland. A usage agreement entered into by and between Career Investment 180 Pty Ltd, registration number 2015/0508, and National Fishing Corporation of Namibia Ltd, registration number 94/387. Herein referred to as Fishco, and represented by Mike Niponya in his capacity as Chief Executive Officer.
Oh, okay. And was that signed at page 66?
Okay, the document was signed on the 12th of July 2017, just on behalf of Fishco.
No, okay. And who signed that document?
The document was signed by Mr. Mike Nipunya.
Okay. In respect of that particular document, I just want to find out at page 59, paragraph 5.
59, paragraph 5. Contribution of allocation quota. Fishco expressly guarantees that it has been allocated a horse mackerel quota for the quota period ending 31 December 2017. And Fishco undertakes irrevocably and shall be obliged to make exclusively available to the operator the whole horse mackerel quota, and the operator shall have the priority rights to negotiations for any additional quota allocated to Fishco during the currency of this agreement, subject to terms and conditions contained herein.
And the usage fee?
The usage fee 6.1. The operator shall pay Fishco a usage fee of 2,500 Namibian dollars per ton, excluding VAT for the quota period.
Okay. Your Lordship, there's a request for the usage agreement to be marked as an exhibit.
Exhibit 11, Z11.
As it pleases.
He did not.
Yes.
The previous one is a invoice. He didn't ask the invoice to be admitted, so I did not number the invoice.
There was, maybe I missed something. There was a usage agreement, page 40 to 50.
Page.
That was Exhibit Z or Z11.
4.1.
So I was just trying to make sure
Let me
that
see. Just of them.
the sequencing of the annex of
Yeah.
the exhibit.
Yeah. The usage agreement.
There is a usage agreement.
Usage fee agreement.
Yes, usage fee agreement, my lord.
Between Asia Fishing
Yes.
and National. That's Z11.
Yes, that's Z11.
Yes.
All right. Yes, please.
And the usage agreement.
No, my apologies, Your Lordship. Since this is Z11, may I just request for the email then to be marked as an exhibit?
Which email?
The one at page 51 and the attachment at page 52.
Oh, the email from Mr. James Hatwikulipi.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Okay. That will then be exhibit Z12
Yes, Your Lordship.
and exhibit Z12 Roman 1.
May I also just request for the now other usage agreement as well to be marked as an exhibit?
That will then be, then Mr. Patela then is correct. That will then be exhibit Z13.
13, my lord.
Yes, Your Lordship.
I know my learned friend, my lord, is very young at heart, but I look at his age. He seems to be a bit uneasy that we are completing this exercise without maybe the source of the document being stipulated so that we have the sequencing correctly as well.
The witness is testifying. He has testified on the source of these documents. That's the first thing he's starting with.
Yeah, that's what he starts with. He starts saying where he got the documents from. I think if we are not, it's just fair that he repeats it so that we all know. And
Yes, my lord, we are trying to,
Yeah.
if he can just repeat it, that will be helpful. Yes.
Yes, my lord, I indicated that the document was obtained from the office of the district prosecutor.
Which one are you speaking to now? There is
I'm speaking to
Z11, the usage fee agreement, the email and the attachment, and
That's correct.
the usage agreement.
for the usage agreement is the two emails. It's the email in the invoice
Yeah.
plus the usage agreement.
That's what you got from the office of the district prosecutor.
Just correct, my lord.
Okay. And now the usage agreement Z13.
I think the court asked you a question.
Yes.
Perhaps you did not hear it.
Oh, yes. The usage agreement Career Investment 180 versus National Fishing Corporation Limited.
The usage agreement let me just make it clear. My testimony on the usage agreement between Asia Fishing and National Fishing Corporation. My testimony was that this document had been obtained from Johannes Stephenson. Then the usage agreement between Career Investment 180 Pty Ltd and National Fishing Corporation of Namibia. The document was obtained from the office of the district prosecutor, Esley.
Yes.
All right. From your investigations, after these usage agreements have been entered to with Fishco, what would occur?
What have occurred is that payment or the summary group of companies did make payments to Fishco, to the account of Fishco, and it was established also through investigation that Fishco made out payments to companies or to entities of other individuals who did not enter into an agreement with them, with Fishco.
Who at Fishco authorized these payments?
The payments from Fishco's account were authorized by the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Mike Nipunya.
What does it help me to be told that Fishco entered into, what is it?
The usage fee agreements.
No, Fishco entered into usage fees agreements. Once they are paid by the Samheri group, Fishco pays to other entities with whom it doesn't have agreements.
Yes, he needs to clarify. We're getting to another aspect of that. He needs to clarify it as well. Now, these funds, okay, we'll get into detail when we deal with the documents, but I want you to give us a general picture of what would okay. These funds, were they only being paid to Fishco from the Samheri group?
Not only from the The agreements entered into with regarding to the government objective quotas, Fiscal was entering into agreements with the Sameri group of companies. He was also entering into an agreement with the Novanam group. And its subsidiaries.
Okay, just with the Fishco now and the Samheji group, we'll come to the Novanam once we are done. The payments from the Samheji group, where were those payments directed with regard to the governmental objective quotas?
Investigations revealed that there were payments made from the fiscal account to the trust account of Mr. Sisana Manje and Company Incorporation. There were also payment made to the Clerk Hon and Coutier, which is DHC. And there were also payments made if I can recall, I think in meantime I can only recall payments to Sisana Manje and payment to DHC.
Oh, okay. Now these payments, let's start off with payments to DHC. From your investigations, who authorized those payments?
These payments, they were authorized by Mr. Mike Nipunya, as the CEO of the Fishco Group.
Okay, maybe before you proceed, if you can just clarify, when we refer to DHC, what is DHC?
It's a legal firm of Maren de Klerk and other directors of DHC.
All right. From your investigations, the payments which were made to DHC, were they in line with governmental objectives?
Yes, the payments were in line with the governmental objectives.
Payments to DHC?
That's correct.
What does it mean when you say whether in line with governmental objectives?
In accordance with the governmental objectives, as listed in the documents that we've dealt with. You recall the governmental objectives that you referred to earlier on?
Yes.
Maybe let me quickly take you back.
I said, maybe I will say, the payments made to Fishco were in line with governmental objectives. From Fishco to DHC, the people who benefited, or the payments to DHC, were not in line with governmental objectives. Or it did not benefit the recipient of this money as stipulated under government objectives.
Were there any direct payments from the Samheji group to DHC from your investigations?
Yes, there is direct payment from the Sameri group to DHC,
Okay.
which was coming from Mermaria, coming from Saga to DHC.
Maria.
Mermaria Seafood, Pty Ltd. It's a Sameri group company.
Were those derived from governmental objective quotas?
Yes, they were derived from there.
Okay. Now, the payments that went to DHC, you indicated they were not in line with governmental objectives. From the investigations that have been conducted, what happened to the funds that went to DHC?
What happened to the funds that went to DHC? The funds were being paid out. They were paying out to a company known as Silax number 1. CC. Silax number 1. A company known as Silax. This company is a company of which Mr. de Klerk was the only director. Other payments were made to entities in which the accused persons are having interest, like the MH Property. It's a company that belongs to Mr. James Hatuikulipi. Companies GTH Trading. It's a company of Mr. Thompson Hatuikulipi.
For the sake of parity, we would like to establish whether this witness is reading from the document in regard to what he's testifying on. And if so, we would like to be referred and the proper qualification be made as well. Otherwise, the file can be closed and the witness can testify from his memory as it occurred when Mr. Mike Ngepunya was testifying, particularly on the objections of the state.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
But the point that I'm making is that it would appear that the witness is referring and looking at particular documents in front of him. So therefore, maybe reading either from the notes or from the document of which we are not aware. I remember when Mr. Ngepunya was testifying, he was also referring to certain documents, and there was an objection from the state that he must testify from his own personal knowledge memory. But if he wants to refer to a document, it's appropriate that he announces it to the court so that we can also look at it and take it from there insofar as his current testimony is going on. I'm raising my law to object that the witness seems to be looking at a file in the term of his testimony. And if he's not referencing any particular document therein, he should simply just close that and testify from his memory. But if he's looking at a particular document in that file for purposes of this testimony, we also have a right to look at that document so that we can apply our minds and take instructions after the proceedings. The same objection was raised by the state, my lord, where my client was also requested to close the file that was before him. So I think we can also...
And that's what I ruled.
Yes, my lord, you allowed that objection, and they were quite pleased with that ruling, and I hope they will also accept if you rule in my favor this time, my lord, as it pleases you.
As it pleases the court, Your Lordship, may I just inquire from the witness, Mr. Kanyangela, are you reading from any particular document?
My lord, maybe it is just my way of playing with documents. I'm not reading from any document.
Okay.
I don't have any other document apart from this file.
Okay.
And my testimony is not
Maybe it appears Council will be happier if you close the file.
Then you only open it when you are referring to a document which is relevant to your testimony.
All right. In your evidence, you're referring, the last thing referred to as JTH trading, where Mr. Thompson has an interest. Can you please continue from there?
Okay, the payments were also made to Grey Gut.
Sorry, is it now from Silex?
Some payments were made from Silex. Other payments were made directly from DHC to the entities of which the accused persons are having interest.
Yeah.
But now I cannot really specify on all the entities. But documentary, we are having them on the file to indicate as to where the money moves.
Yeah, you see, remember what Mr. Patela has said is, if you are referring to a document, you open the file, you say, I'm going to refer to this document on this page so that they also have it. Nobody said don't make reference to a document.
Yes, my lord.
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Lordship. Just from your memory, is there any other entity that you recall?
From my memory, I can recall an entity called Fonleel Business Trust. Fonleel Business Trust. It's a company of Mr. James Apikulipi.
Mr. Kajangela, before you proceed, if we can just make things easier and get things moving. Can you go to page 311 of that bundle? There's another one. Okay, I think just take us to page 315. That is a much more clearer.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, on page 315.
What is that document?
This document is having a diagram.
Okay. It forms part of what document?
It forms part of the report that Deloitte and Touch provided to the ACC.
All right. And what is reflected on that particular page?
What depicted on this page is an indication of money paid to Fishrot by the Sameri Group, which is an amount of 75,600,000 Namibian dollars. Then the block, which is written fish call, in the amount of 6,280,500 80,500 Namibian dollar. This is money that Fishcall paid out to the company as listed, or to the entities and individual as listed on the blocks on the right, starting with Mr. B.M. Esau, indicating of receiving an amount of 1,218,445 Namibian dollars. James Atuikulipi received 500,000 Namibian dollars. MB de Klerk received 332,250 Namibian dollars. Then Moyo Estate CC receiving 2,300,475 Namibian dollars. Elongo Clearing and Forwarding CC received 4 million Namibian dollars. GTH Trading CC received 11,770,000 Namibian dollars. MH Property CC received 8 million Namibian dollars. Jaco Investment CC received 2 million Namibian dollars.
All right. Who had an interest in that entity from your investigations?
The person with interest in this entity, Jaco Investment CC, is Mr. Otniel Shudifonya and Mr. Mike Ngipunyi.
Okay. Please carry on and just
Then
tell
the
us who had interest in the entities that you are going to mention.
Omkumo Cultural Trust. This entity received 2,325,000 Namibian dollars. Onkumo Cultural Trust is the entity or is the trust of members of Ndirimani, then Otpafika Logistics CC received 11,785,840 Namibian dollars. This is the company of which Mr. Pius Mwaterulo is having interest. Then Von Leer Business Trust received 14,726,250 Namibian dollars. And this company is the company in which Mr. James Atuikulipi is having interest. Then the last block is payment to third parties on behalf of SE Shanghala / GN Atuikulipi for the benefit of SWAPO, which is 6,190,594 Namibian dollars.
Okay.
Let me just understand. The third parties, is it individuals or is it companies?
The third parties his companies. These companies, they render services in the benefit of the SWAPO party. They actually provide services during that time of the election campaign by providing T-shirts, by making braidings, and the money I see they also went to buy equipments for their band. So it's several entities that provide such type of services. And why the name of Mr. Shangala and the name of Mr. James is put in? We obtain statements from this service provider. Some are indicating that they were approached either by Saki or by James. Others are members of the party who approach the service providers after consultation or as per the directive of Mr. James and Mr. Shangala.
All right. You also testified, okay, from your investigations, these payments that you referred to right now to these entities on this diagram, were they in line with governmental objectives?
They were not in line with governmental objectives.
Oh, okay. You also referred to a payment to the law firm Sister Namanje and Company Incorporated. Can you go to page 67? That document.
I am there.
What is depicted on that document?
What is depicted on this document is a periodic statement on the account of National Fishing Corporation of Namibia Limited, which is Fishco. This document was obtained from Fishco. It is a periodic statement for the period of the 1st December 2015 to the 31st of December 2015.
Are you at page 67?
67.
Yes, the page before. I think you're at page 68.
Then I don't have 67.
It's not there. Okay. You guys.
Totally.
Your Lordship, we just provide him with my copy. Council just having a look at that document. You can give yours if you want. It's fine. What document do you have before you?
This document is a document, it's a letter dated 30 November 2015 and is directed to the manager, Bank Windhoek, PO Box 33, Lideris, Namibia. And it reads as follows. Dear Sir, Madam, bank transfer from account number 800 1893 858 at Bank Windhoek, Lideris. That was the subject. Then it said, please arrange a bank transfer from National Fishing Corp current account to name Sisa Namanje and Company Incorporation Trust, Bank Standard Bank Namibia, branch Main Windhoek, account number 241946 branch code 082372, amount 15 million Namibian dollars.
Okay. From your investigations, who authorized that payment?
This payment was authorized by Mr. Mike Ngiponya, by that time as an acting CEO of Fishrot.
Is it only Mr. Ngiponya?
Is there any other?
There is also Mr. Franz Hanse, an accountant,
Okay.
sent on.
Okay. From your investigations, I know there are two signatories on that document, but from your investigations, who in actual fact had authorized for the payment itself?
The payment itself, the investigation revealed that it was authorized by Mr. Mike Ngiponya.
Okay. Can I just have that letter? Your Lordship, if I'm not mistaken, I think that letter is already Exhibit H before court.
Yes, it's an exhibit. It's Exhibit H.
Where is it to the court? Your Lordship, I'm being reminded, I think it's the opportune time to adjourn the proceedings.
Yes, it's 4 o'clock. We will adjourn until tomorrow. I've sorted out my issues. We can start at 9.
As it is, Your Lordship.
Yes. I just want to alert that tomorrow we'll starting at 9. We don't need, if we start an hour earlier, we don't need to, because I had thought we will have a shorter lunch break, but we'll have the normal lunch break because we're starting an hour earlier, and then we're stopping at 3:15 tomorrow.
As it is,
Go to rise.
All right.